Joined by our chief political reporter, Kieran Gilbert. Good morning again, Kieran.
Thanks, Terry. Good morning to you. Let's have a chat now with the Environment Minister Tony Burke, who joins us from the Sydney CBD studio. Mr Burke, thanks for your time. Before we get on to areas of your responsibility in your portfolio, I do want to ask you for your reaction to this rate cut. Obviously, relief that the big banks have now passed it on.
Oh, great news. And in time for Christmas. And let's not forget that one of the pressures that's on the banks now is there's a whole lot of reforms that have been made to make everything more competitive. It's easier now for consumers to change from one bank to another than it's ever been, and that creates a real pressure for them to make sure that these cuts are passed on. I think it's fantastic news today.
All right, let's get on to the issue of whaling, the Japanese whaling fleet heading to the Southern Ocean. Why doesn't the government, can you explain to us, why doesn't the government send a boat down there to monitor it?
Well, the original request actually to send a boat down, the first time it was raised with me, was by the Japanese government. They asked for us to do it, and my response to them at the time was there is no way that we're going to provide a higher level of protection for a vessel simply because it's involved in whaling. I know the opposition have joined those calls now, but we can't be in a situation where we have a view that what they're doing is unlawful, we're taking them to court internationally over it, and then to go down and provide some higher degree of protection for them.
But it's about monitoring the confrontation, isn't it? There is a risk that this could and likely get dangerous once again in the Antarctic. Why not monitor it?
Well, Kieran, there are two schools of thought as to what the impact would be of an extra vessel. There are some who would argue the way you've described it. There's also some fairly strong arguments that if we had a presence there, the conflict would be more likely to escalate. So there's no simple answer there as to whether our presence would actually be a calming influence or whether it would cause an escalation of the conflict. The thing that we want is for people to make sure that there is safety at sea. And I've spoken directly to both some of the Japanese representatives, and I've spoken directly to the captain of the Sea Shepherd, asking them quite directly to keep safe at sea. We believe that the whaling should not be occurring. We've taken the toughest action of any country in the world. We don't want human lives lost on the way through.
I know that obviously you don't want to publicly endorse the Sea Shepherd, but obviously you've got sympathy for their cause.
Oh, we're opposed to commercial whaling. We don't accept for 1 minute this argument from Japan that what they're doing is somehow scientific. There's a whole lot of science that goes into whales. Australia is leading the world in a lot of this science as well. But no one's going to tell me it's scientific to go from one side of the world to another, harpoon a whale and chop it up for food and claim that you're conducting scientific research. It's commercial whaling. That's what we're doing, and that's what they're doing, and that's why we're taking them to the International Court of Justice over it.
Apparently the Sea Shepherd helicopter pilot, crucial in their whole operation, chasing down the Japanese fleet and locating them for the vessels to then go and interrupt them. He was denied a visa apparently. Now he's got one. Why did it take so long to give this man a visa? He's a former Marine, Gulf War veteran.
He was never refused a visa. There was never a visa denied. A visa was provided within the ordinary time limits of how visa applications go. I've seen claims that a visa was denied. It was not.
Paul Watson, the captain, told me a couple of days ago that it was, and he didn't know why.
There's been a number of claims come from Sea Shepherd relating to this, but there was no stage, on the information I've been given, no stage at all where a visa was actually applied for and denied. OK, finally, on speculation of a cabinet reshuffle, apparently this could happen within days. It would make sense to freshen up the lineup, wouldn't it? Do you think Kevin Rudd is at risk of being dumped? Look, anything about a reshuffle is a matter for the Prime Minister. I'm certainly, if you're saying about freshen up the lineup, I've got to say I'm very happy in my job. Look, anything like that would be a matter for the PM.
You haven't heard anything on that front?
I've read issues about it in the newspapers, but that's the limit of it.
Tony Burke, thanks for your time.
Good to talk to you, Kieran.